we've been in sort of the nothing but nets situation, nothing but neural nets from photons to controls for a while now. We're just improving the neural nets. I guess we could get into some of the technical details to some degree. I have to say, I continue to be amazed by just how effective autoregressive transformers are at solving a wide range of problems. I mean, Ashok, is there anything you'd like to add there without giving away the sort of family secrets?
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Today's episode will be expedited and earlier than usual, as I will be heading out of town for a few days, unable to upload, so expect the next Electrified installment to be Monday, October 6th. With this week being FSD version 14 week, I think it's appropriate to explain another aspect of Tesla's FSD neural network, one that Elon was clearly very impressed with earlier this year. It's actually a mechanism that Tesla has done patent work on that should continue to improve FSD's predictive behaviors with version 14, and that's part of what could actually unlock this sentient behavior Elon has been talking about. So what is a transformer? And no, we're not talking about transformers with the electrical grid. We're talking about transformers as a type of neural network architecture. Boiling it down, a transformer uses something called attention to basically figure out what parts of the input, in this case the video feeds, are most relevant. And unlike some older models that would process data step by step, transformers can look at an entire sequence in parallel, which of course makes them faster. Tesla first started using transformer-based architectures back around 2021, and since then have been deploying a hybrid approach. So no, it's not like they're using transformers for the entire implementation. Now, at a very simple level, here's a look at Tesla's implementation of FSD for its neural net. You have these steps: input collection and processing, the video feeds coming in. Then the network perceives that video data. Then we have prediction and planning and decision making, control, which is the output, and then training. So when you hear people talk about Tesla using transformers, and specifically Elon touching on autoregressive transformers, which we'll get into, Tesla is likely primarily using them for prediction and planning and decision making. Here's an illustration of the transformer architecture. You basically have two main parts, an encoder and a decoder. In short, the encoder is what's going to process the input data, the video feeds, and the decoder is what's responsible for generating the output. And as always, this is way overly simplified, but in this transformer setup with the encoder, you basically have it processing and compressing the input data, effectively transforming it so the neural net can actually use it. And again, with this transformer approach, the heart of it is this attention mechanism. It's what allows the neural net to pay more attention to the part of the input data that contains the most meaningful information. And we have this patent from Tesla, generating lane segments using embeddings for autonomous vehicle navigation. It says, to address these and other technical constraints, a computing system on the ego, which in this case is Tesla's car, can be configured with a set of AI algorithms and machine learning models to generate a graph defining a set of lane segments. The computing system on the ego, on the car, can acquire sensor data, like from cameras, as well as map data for navigation of the surroundings of the car. Using a first set of encoders, the computing system can generate a set of tensors as a reduced dimensional representation of the sensor data. Now, this word tensors, just think of it as a bucket for this new compressed data after the encoding part of the transformer does its job. So in short, these tensors hold the compressed versions of the sensor data. And then with the output set of these tensors, the computing system on the ego, on the car, can apply a third set of encoders like an autoregressive decoder. Now, just to define the term Elon was talking about, autoregressive transformer. This shows a recurrent neural network, which can be viewed as a legacy type of structure, but I just want to show you the difference between sequential and parallel. Recurrent neural networks would process information sequentially. Easiest way to think about it, one part at a time. Whereas an encoder, part of a transformer structure, would process that same data in parallel all at once. So again, only using this image to explain sequential versus parallel. And I show that because autoregressive transformers still train in parallel, but they actually generate outputs sequentially, meaning one piece at a time. So autoregressive might sound complicated, but just think of it like writing a story one word at a time. For auto, think self. And for regressive, think building on the past. Said another way, autoregressive models don't spit out the whole plan at once. It generates it step by step, adjusting based on each past step. Remember that road trip game where one person says a line like "the baker in Florida," and then the next person continues the story, making up the next line, and so on and so forth. That is autoregressive. So applying that to Tesla's FSD neural nets, these autoregressive transformers take in the data from the camera feeds and the maps and all of the past behaviors of the car, and then predicts the car's path one very small step at a time. And what's actually happening is Tesla will use these autoregressive decoders to turn all of the input data and transform it into a graph of possible driving paths. It does that by fusing this real-time vision data with the map data to have super accurate predictions. And why this matters is because older versions of FSD would rely on more rigid rules or separate modules for things like detecting objects and planning routes. Whereas now, continually incorporating more of these autoregressive transformers, it's going to lead to more human-like intuition and prediction. Now, tying this all together, at the beginning when I shared that clip of Elon, he asked Ashok if he had anything to add. I didn't play it, but in short, what Ashok said was that Tesla is scaling everything. The model size, the parameters, increasing the context length, and so on. So what this means for us, with these bigger models, Tesla using more of these autoregressive transformers means the car can remember and process longer sequences of events. So think of the most complex intersections with the most minute detail of people hesitating to go in the lane, maybe someone on a bike nearby that started to wobble. All of this little and extra nuance will be added into the model, meaning we should expect a much greater ability to handle even the most rare of edge cases. And obviously, when you have a bigger model and more parameters with more data, you need to have more efficient processing and transforming and encoding. And it's precisely these transformers and the attention mechanism that helps to determine what's actually important. As we know, driving is a sequence. One moment leads to the next, which is why these autoregressive transformers make sense. This type of model should excel and enable these scaling laws to continue. It should make FSD even better at not only including more nuance, but also spotting longer-term patterns. In April 2023, Elon said this: "We need to predict what pedestrians will do based on their behavior, including limb angle and direction of sight. FSD currently sees all pedestrians as cuboids, so is overly cautious. Also, diffusion seems to be more compute efficient than transformers for vision." And this is why I explained a high-level overview of the different steps of Tesla's neural network implementation. Just because Tesla has a big focus on transformers right now does not mean it's all that they're using across the entire software stack. All of the breadcrumbs point to Tesla's version 14 being an AI model that processes driving environments like an experienced local driver. That patent explained how Tesla would combine map knowledge with real-time vision using those tensor operations, and then using an autoregressive decoder to transform that unified understanding into a comprehensive graph of possible driving paths. So in short, version 14 should have a much better ability to understand how all of these different paths and options connect to each other and relate to each other, giving Tesla the ability to determine what's the most relevant, allowing the car to navigate even the most complex environments confidently. Basically, all technical jargon aside, the brain of FSD 14 should be on a whole new level thanks to all of these technical improvements. ARK Invest put out a quick blurb about version 14, saying it's the most significant update since version 12. And relative to Waymo, Tesla's robotaxis now cover around 42% more territory. And they said, according to our research, Tesla's robotaxi platform could represent around 90% of the company's enterprise value by 2029. And part of why the next decade will be so interesting is because Elon publicly has been saying how Optimus could represent upwards of 75% of Tesla's value long term. And don't forget, ARK Invest, one of the most bullish outlets on Tesla, is not really including anything for Optimus right now. So to say that Tesla's going through a transformation over the next decade in terms of where its profit comes from seems like the understatement of the year. Tim Urban was praising Tesla's Smart Summon, and someone replied saying this works very well in a surface parking lot. In a multi-level garage where it's most useful, you're going to be extraordinarily frustrated. Then Elon replied to that saying not for long. Now, I have to say, my experience with Smart Summon has not been great. The last time I used it, it could not have been an easier setup. It was a beautiful day and the car was not that far away. However, because another car pulled out in front of ours as we were summoning, the car panicked and got stuck, and then no matter what I tried, it would not work, could not get it going, so we ended up having to walk to the car in the middle of the parking lot. So just know, for some people, even in flat surface parking lots, it's still not a great, reliable experience. Hopefully that changes with V14. Here it is, guys, an exclusive behind the scenes look at the production of Electrified. Because yes, I do all my own research, record myself, edit everything myself, upload to YouTube, and make the thumbnails, etc. All just me. I'm telling you this because after uploading for the day, I'm usually pretty wound up after staring at screens all day and being plugged into my news and workflow. I usually don't finish uploading till around 9:30, so on nights I need to get to bed early, I've been looking for a solution. And the news? I finally found it. So when I'm done, I'll sit down for about 5 minutes, mix it up, and just sit and breathe to unwind. Then I'll do some light relaxing mobility work, followed up by continuing to sip it in the shower with the Philips Hue Vibe set to red. Now what is it? AGZ, a nightly drink that helps me wind down, and it mixes with only 4 ounces of water or milk. It's from, you guessed it, AG1, the sponsor of this video. It's a melatonin-free formula, so most people will not feel groggy the next morning. It has clinically studied herbs, adaptogens, and minerals. There are no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or added sugar. And AGZ's magnesium L-threonate is clinically tested and shown to improve sleep quality. It also has ashwagandha, valerian, saffron, and L-theanine. No GMOs, gluten, or dairy. And there are 3 different flavors, and if you don't know it yet, quality sleep is arguably one of the most important things to your overall quality of life. So if you want to reduce the stress and focus on the rest, you can use my link below or scan the QR code to get a free frother with your first purchase of AGZ. Cheers. Elon met with Abdullah Al Ahmed, who is the chairman of the UAE's National Media Office. The UAE has been making a push in the AI realm, trying to set up some different universities. And the UAE has been using this to try to solidify its status as a premier destination for AI and tech innovation. Now, Abdullah also mentioned Elon's new AI center that he expects to open by the end of this year. I'm assuming he was just talking about Colossus 2. The meeting was light on details, but clearly the UAE is eager to partner with Elon as much as possible, so we'll see if any announcements come from this meeting in the months ahead. Based Beth Jazo said, we need Tesla and Figure and 1X to outcompete Unitree ASAP. This is a national security issue. Replying to that, Elon said Tesla is working hard on scaling Optimus. Sendil Polani from Tesla said he was able to visit Giga Berlin last month and witness what the plant can do now that it's really stretching its legs. Sendil is the VP of Finance at Tesla, and he said the factory was originally configured to build the structural pack Model Y. It then reoriented itself towards the now legacy design, and then once again to the new Model Y, including the performance variant. Quality, cost, and volume achieving records as we leverage the talent of the entire team there alongside the learnings from the past last several years. I'm sharing this because I saw a number of people that were surprised to learn that Tesla was not actually using a structural pack for the Model Y. There was some low volume production of the 4680 structural pack Model Y in Austin back around 2023, but it did not last long. So yes, Giga Berlin and all of Tesla's factories around the world have now been using 2170 cells for some time. And another notable change with the refreshed Model Y is that it is no longer using the front gigacasting, it's only using a gigacasting for the rear. And look, if you've been following along, you will have heard me say at least a few times that I'm waiting for an update on the 4680 program. It's been now almost a year since we've really heard anything of note, at least when it comes to the current scale of the program and plans for the future. And when it comes to Tesla removing the FUB, the front underbody casting, it's just a lot of speculation. We really haven't heard anything direct official from Tesla. Speculation has been manufacturing challenges, cost cutting, repairability issues, but honestly for me, none of those really seemed right. The FUB should have reduced costs over time. We've heard that the gigacast approach would help from a repairability standpoint since they're modular and parts of them can be replaced. And I guess maybe there could be new manufacturing challenges with the FUB despite the notion that the FUB would reduce manufacturing complexity. But for now, officially, it's a mystery as to why. I just wanted to make it clear this has been the case for a while. But despite those changes, quality, cost, and volume are achieving records at Giga Berlin. And based on that statement, maybe it was cost challenges and manufacturing complexities that were the reasons Tesla moved away from the FUB. You guys know me, I really do try to find reasons to root for these other companies making electric vehicles. I do want our roads to be electrified, but man, quotes like this really make it hard for me to do. Lucid's interim CEO, Mark Winterhoff, just gave an interview and he had this to say about Tesla. He was basically saying how Lucid has been seeing an uptick in sales from Tesla owners who have decided to sell their vehicles. And he went on to say, the Model S, nothing has changed in 12 years now. Customers are actively looking for other options. Now listen, I'm not saying the Model S and X wouldn't benefit from an exterior upgrade, but to outright say that nothing has changed on the Model S in 12 years is just patently false. Tesla Charging shared the first V4 cabinet supercharger location is now live. 500 kilowatts, 3 times the power density, and 2 times the number of stalls per cabinet. Higher throughput, higher efficiency, lower cost, faster deployments. Tesla said it's currently only supporting Teslas. Non-Teslas will be supported in Q4. Final engineering validations are needed. Just to correct this graphic that Nick Patane posted because a lot of people saw it, he was comparing Tesla's V1 setup to the new V4. But what he should have said was that with V4, it's now 8 posts per cabinet rather than 2 posts per cabinet that he has listed. So the correct 8 posts per cabinet would compare to Tesla's V1 setup where it was only 2 posts per cabinet. I think we also need to clarify if there were 8 cars charging at even a V4 site, not all of them can hit 500 kilowatts at the same time. Even with the V4 cabinet, given the total DC power output capacity is about 1.2 megawatts, that means if there were 8 cars there all at once, they could only charge up to 150 kilowatts per stall. And remember, right now, only the Cybertruck can actually charge up to 500 kilowatts. The rest of the lineup is still stuck at 250. And listen, even though Tesla itself has been calling supercharger locations V4 well before V4 cabinets were ever a thing back in 2023, just know going forward, I'm only going to refer to sites as V4 if they have both the V4 cabinet and the V4 stalls. If they only have V4 stalls, I'm still calling it version 3.5. But if you want to go check out this true V4 location, it's in Redwood City, California. Max from Tesla said it might be odd to get so excited about a white box, but the V4 cabinet is a charging masterpiece. AC in, 16 trays of power electronics, and DC out. This is the tech that will make 1.2 megawatt charging for the Semi and 0.5 megawatt charging for cars ubiquitous around the world. Even if you don't have a Cybertruck, Max said lots of other benefits too: efficiency, density, throughput, deployment, servicing, that ultimately help the cost per kilowatt hour for our customers. Additionally, we have version 2 sites that have been operational for over a decade already. V4 cabinet superchargers opening now are the tech that will provide awesome charging for the next decade plus. And a bit more context to what I said about load sharing, Max said 1.2 megawatt configuration is for the Semi. For cars, it can be configured as either 1.2 megawatts or 1 megawatt efficiently shared across 8 V4 posts, which means yes, only 2 Cybertrucks at one location, if charging at the same time, would be able to hit those 500 kilowatt speeds. And this right here is the V4 cabinet in all of its beauty, but for max effect next to a V3 cabinet. So there you have it, simplicity and efficiency at its finest. Wes from Tesla said the Cybertrucks on the road today can recover up to 44% in 15 minutes with the V4 charger, which is 13% faster than with version 3. For best results, navigate to the supercharger to initiate battery preconditioning and arrive at a low state of charge. But as always, the big question is, what will the charging curve look like? So hopefully Kyle Connor and some others get out there and give us some real world testing as more true V4 sites come online. The weekly Tesla China number came in at 19,300. Comparing that to the same week in Q2, that number was 20,680. So quarter over quarter, Tesla China is up 27%. Year over year, Tesla China is still down 8.6% for Q3. And zooming out year to date, Tesla China is still down 6.2%. The breakdown for the week: 7,500 Model 3 and 11,800 Model Y. But of that Model Y number, 4,000 are said to be the Model YL, which is by far the highest reading so far of the first 4 weeks of Model YL deliveries. The previous high for Model YL sales were 2 weeks ago when the reading was 1,030. Since I'll be away, I won't be able to cover it on YouTube, but remember, we're set to get Tesla's P&D report this Thursday. Now, take this however you will, but the official Tesla AI account posted this on Weibo. The translation: Tesla's working hard to expand the scale of its humanoid robots, planning to launch the 3rd generation by the end of 2025 and to begin mass production in 2026. Elon predicts that before 2030, the company will produce 1 million units. So hopefully we do actually get a product launch of the much anticipated version 3 of Optimus by the end of this year. Tesla Australia said in less than 2 weeks, owners have traveled 1 million kilometers on supervised FSD in Australia and New Zealand. That's roughly 67 laps around Australia. The US Army Customs Agency news release stated that the Cybertruck can't be imported or registered in Germany or the wider European Union. This because the vehicle failed to obtain EU type approval due to passive safety violations, with regulators citing risks tied to its stainless steel body and design. The ruling effectively bars US forces personnel from legally operating the vehicle on German roads. The US forces were trying to allow some members to import and register the Cybertruck, but the German Ministry of Transport denied the request because the Cybertruck not only fails to meet the EU legal requirements but deviates significantly from them. Officials argued that the vehicle falls far short of EU requirements, particularly those aimed at protecting pedestrians, cyclists, and other vulnerable road users. The Cybertruck's sharp edges and weight classification also reportedly exceed thresholds that mandate impact protection zones and additional safety features. So, Tesla's Cybertrucks are currently not allowed to be imported or registered in Germany or the EU. Officials also shared concerns about the Cybertruck's eye-catching design, which might reportedly put drivers in danger. Another concern is that the Cybertruck would attract a lot of attention when operated in public traffic. So while this is very frustrating, I really don't think the Cybertruck was going to be a massive hit across the EU anyway. Beyond any Tesla brand damage that's lingering right now across the EU, Tesla still has work to do from a price standpoint. And at this point, I really don't think anybody should be surprised that Germany would put something out like this. In case you saw that video of a Waymo driving right over the grass in the middle of a golf course. Waymo responded saying, "Hey there, this was a human-driven car getting ready for an event at the Penmar Golf Course." Now, true story, this afternoon I called the Penmar Golf Club just to try to confirm that this event really happened and the Waymo was really supposed to be on the golf course. I spoke to Nick at the pro shop, and after I asked the question, his response was no comment, and then he hung up the phone. I'll point out that Penmar is also only a 9-hole golf course, so do with that information what you will. Jim Farley just gave a new interview to the Decoder podcast. He was talking about Ford's upcoming universal EV platform, and he said it's a platform that will be out in 2027. We learned so much from the Mach-E. We've been number 2 to Tesla. We're a long way behind them, but we're number 2 in the US market in EV sales. Talking more about this upcoming EV platform, he said, "The aim is to radically reduce the cost and the complexity of the vehicle with all new thinking that is not embedded in a traditional car company. To do that, we needed all new talent, and we needed them to be separate from Ford, separate from our IT solutions that we use to develop and release parts, and separate from a philosophy standpoint about how to radically simplify the vehicle. Our first body style will be a pickup, but it's really not a pickup. I would say it's a new silhouette. It's very fast, it's rear wheel drive, it's super fun to drive, and it has a digital experience that no one's seen, at least that we've seen, even in China. The digital experience is quite different for customers." He said the competitive reality is that the Chinese are the 700-pound gorilla in the EV industry. There's no real competition from Tesla, GM, or Ford with what we've seen from China. Now, just interjecting here, what Farley was talking about was in terms of volume, not in terms of technology or any EV platform, just in terms of making EVs at scale. Talking about the Chinese, he said there's hundreds of companies and they're all sponsored by their local government, so they have huge subsidies. To beat them, we need a completely different approach. It became very obvious to me that we had to go outside of Ford, create this maverick group, give them the resources and stay out of their way, but make sure they deliver on a completely new approach because the Chinese are so formidable. They have so much support from the government and their customers have such a high expectation for the digital experience that an incremental approach from the Mach-E would never work. And one thing I do appreciate from Farley is his candor. He said, "There are no assurances we can do this. No one has ever built a car in 3 pieces. No one's offered their own electric architecture at this price. We've never done it. We've never had 2 large unit castings and high quality. No one has done it. Tesla's talked about it, but it hasn't done it," which we talked about earlier in the video. They started to do it, but then they backtracked. In fact, our manufacturing process has radically moved on beyond what Tesla's ever shown in its unboxing. So there's a lot of risk here. There's not a guarantee that Ford is going to get this done. So yeah, color me skeptical that Ford will have this new EV platform figured out by 2027. Just in case you see the headlines, there are some senators calling for an investigation into Tesla's FSD, specifically how it interacts with railroad crossings. But I just wanted to point out that NHTSA has already said it's aware of Tesla's FSD and some shortcomings interacting with railroad crossings. NHTSA has said it's already aware of that and looking into it, so I don't think these calls will change much. But ever since I heard Joe Tetmeyer say that he had a problem with this in the Tesla Robotaxi, this is very obviously a critical issue that Tesla needs to address. And just to clear the air on this one, there's a lot of misunderstanding. Tesla is going to tap the securitization market for roughly $890 million. Of course, you have people running with the narrative, ooh, Tesla's raising money, they must be in trouble. Well, I'm sorry to burst the Tesla Q bubble, but no, that's not true. Tesla has now done 1 or 2 of these deals every single year dating back to 2018. Basically, Tesla is issuing bonds by packaging and selling these securities, which are backed by revenue streams from their customer lease contracts. It's a very standard financing mechanism in the auto industry. It's just a way for Tesla to convert future lease payments into immediate cash for operations. ING Deutschland basically gave the middle finger to Tesla shareholders, saying, "We do not offer the proxy voting process or the transmission of a control number. There's no legal obligation to do so for general meetings under foreign law." Elon responded saying, "Denying shareholders the ability to vote, as you are doing, certainly should be a crime. I will just say, if I had 1 penny at ING Deutschland, I would be removing it yesterday." Tesla stock closed the day at $444.72, up 0.34%, while the NDX was up 0.3%. The volume was 15% below the average. Don't forget to check out AG1's new AGZ using my link below if you want something to help you relax and unwind. And remember, no more videos from me this week as I'll be out of town. You can expect to hear from me again on Monday. Hope you all have a wonderful and a safe week. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below. And a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.